Hi, I'm Nadia, and I'm here to teach you about papaya. Contrary to its pronunciation, papaya has nothing to do with the actual fruit. The abbreviation of POPIA stands for Protection of Personal Information Act. The Act was commenced on the 11th of April 2014 and enforced on the 1st of July 2020. The Protection of Personal Information Act is primarily focused on South African citizens and is equivalent to the European Union General Data Protection Regulation. The aim of the Act is to enforce consumers' rights to privacy and hold any South African institution liable for any misuse of customer information and invasion of customer privacy. The Act also includes a code of conduct where it protects the rights of individuals in terms of electronic communication and automated decisions which circulate personal information and have not been approved of. Personal information can be defined as either contact information, such as telephone numbers or email addresses, physical information, such as blood types or eye color, or demographic information, such as age, gender, or race. The role players which protect South Africans' personal information include the data subject, the person that the information relates to, the responsible party who determines how the information should be processed, and the operator who processes the information. We will now break down the 8 conditions for lawful protection of Personal Information Act. Condition number 1, accountability, states that the public party, any other person which, alone or in conjunction with other, determines the purpose of and means for processing personal information. In other words, the responsible party is required to be accountable and comply with various conditions and measures. Condition 2, processing limitation. This is broken down into lawfulness, which involves processing personal information in a way that does not infringe privacy of subject. Minimality, which involves processing relevant and appropriate personal information. Consent, which is achieved by processing only consented information from the subject. Justification, this requires proof of consent from the subject. And lastly, objection. This refers to a subject being allowed to object any information. Condition 3, purpose specification. This is broken down into collection for specific purpose and retention and restriction of records. In the first part, the individual needs to be aware of the purpose for his information being collected. In the second part, the information can only be kept for a certain period of time to fulfill the purpose, and it cannot be kept for longer. Condition 4, further processing limitations. Further processing of personal information is needed in order to prevent and minimize a possible serious threat to the public health, safety, and life of individuals. Condition 5, information quality. The information processed has to be in line with the reason for collection, and the quality of the information has to be accurate, complete, and not misleading. Condition 6, openness. It is a necessity that all documentation for processing of personal information is maintained by the public body in order to have transparency. The individual needs to be aware of the name and address of the responsible party collecting the information and disclose which sources they are collecting from. The individual also needs to know of any possible consequences of not providing information. Condition 7, security safeguards. The specific focus is security measures on integrity and confidentiality of personal information. The responsible party processing or collecting the information must make sure that confidentiality and integrity of the subject's information is secured. They must also eliminate the risk of what is specified as losses of, damages to, or unauthorized destruction of personal information. Condition 8. Data subject participation. This is the last condition of the Protection of Personal Information Act, and it states that the individual has the right to request that the responsible party confirm free of charge, and if a fee is requested, the individual must be aware of the fee before the service is rendered. The individual may also correct or delete personal information if they deem it inaccurate or misleading. Now let's focus on the Protection of Personal Information Act in terms of marketing. The Act indicates that any form of direct marketing associated with the interaction of customers via email, SMS, and other form of electronic communication with the intention of gathering facts, figures, and personal information is verbatim unless the customer agrees and accords to it. The Protection of Personal Information Act states that if any marketers or any other organizations refuse to comply with all the conditions set out by the Act regarding information violations or the unlawful use of personal information, there will be consequences of fines and potential jail time. Now you're ready to conquer the world with everything you need to know on the Protection of Personal Information Act. If you have any questions, feel free to ask us below. Thank you for watching.